Hey there, Dwaine Clarke, episode 166. We have Matthew Sutika with us to discuss multifamily property casualty insurance, how to save money, how to increase our bottom line, all that and more coming up.
Welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing Podcast, your source for real-world strategies focused on creating long-term wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom through real estate. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful real estate investors and thought leaders, we provide you the tools to succeed and to reach the lifestyle you always wanted. And now, your host, Dwaine Clarke.
Hello and welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing Show. This is your host, Dwaine Clarke, and today we have Matthew Sutika. Matthew is the Chief Insurance Officer of OBIE. OBIE is an insurance and risk management company for multifamily and commercial real estate owners. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us on the show, and how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. End of the year here. Couldn't be more excited to finish off 2020 and get into 2021.
Absolutely. I think everyone's looking forward to that. And like I said, it's definitely let's get this away and start the year off nice and fresh with a nice positive vibe. I really appreciate you taking the time. We haven't really covered this topic in detail. This would be more for our active owners. We have a very diverse audience space to kind of talk about insurance. And of course, a lot of the syndicators, multifamily and commercial property owners are looking to increase their bottom line for their investors and for themselves. Before we get a little bit more detailed into that, would you kind of talk about your background, how you got started in the industry, and a little bit more about your company?
Yeah, absolutely. My background, been an insurance guy forever, since the floors calling around my dad's State Farm agency years ago. But more importantly, how I got into the multifamily investing or the real estate investing and kind of being the go-to insurance person was a lot due to I was trying to find something that I could have an interest in or a niche in long term. That I could apply my skill in insurance to. And so I had some friends that were getting into real estate. I'd always been around the real estate channel. So that really just kind of made it where I wanted to dive in full time because I could be one, helping people with the insurance, but also on a personal note, learning more about the investing side. And the more I learned about the investing side, the better I could do with the insurance. So that's how originally it was my brother and I got into it and grew. And from there, really just kind of made it our go-to thing. We're kind of eating, breathing, sleeping the multifamily from one unit on up insurance.
Absolutely. I kind of like that you kind of focus a lot on niche, and can you really serve the needs of that particular and understand what they're looking for and actually what what their bottom line is. I know all people are trying to optimize as much as possible. I understand we talked a little bit before we started recording was kind of just the merging of technology and this kind of business model of insurance and usually coming from like a old school insurance background is more like you meet with someone in the office and then you go through all this stuff maybe over the phone, but now merging it to kind of make people more efficient. Everything's done online. Can you talk about kind of your growth with technology and how it's been able to benefit commercial property owners and professionals?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost if you can imagine, when I talk about what we want to do or how we're wanting to implement, is almost like an Alexa for an insurance, right? Everyone has them in the home, so you have that like close, still relationship, right? That used to sit at someone's kitchen table and help them with their insurance. Now you're sitting on their counter and you're digital, and then but so I can always be there day in and day out answering questions and helping guiding them. But then also with that, I'm not just using old school methods and forms and everything like that to provide them the insurance. We're building a lot of technology at OBIE that will increase speed, will help people get to their deals quicker, and still have that reliable source though that they can say, hey, in this case Matt, help me on this deal, or hey, guide me here, or what happens if this comes up, or a lot of it is, hey Matt, what's the price going to be on this one that I'm looking at. So we're really trying to kind of combine as you mentioned, the old school and the new school, and still provide that personal touch, but through the use of technology.
Can you kind of talk about kind of like the benefits of kind of going with like a group like yours Because of course, everyone's bottom line. I know people that are real estate investors are always looking to grow their portfolio. So it doesn't just start with one property. They're looking at from long-term perspective, even for syndicators where they're raising capital, so they're constantly buying new deals. Can you talk about the benefit of working with your group and how you're able to help property owners?
Yeah, the biggest benefit to kind of go off the last question too is that we still are going to have that relationship, and where that comes into play is on deal 2, 3, 4, 5, and on, because the more we understand the portfolios of our clients and what they have going on, right? And we see the savings that are happening on some accounts, and we see the prices going up on other accounts. We're constantly able to, within our shop, balance that portfolio for them as far as it relates to insurance, right? We can have conversations about, hey, 2020 was a good year. It was a bad year. Here's the overall increases that happened. Here's the overall decreases. So I think the number one reason to work with us is that, we almost dive in as if we were a partner, almost as if we were providing, capital to your investment ourselves. And we start to think about, okay, because, a lot of us at our shop are investing in real estate, right? And so we're like, these are the things we would want to know. Here's the things that you would want to know. And then here's 3 or 4 options how we can actually use insurance from a deductible standpoint to changing coverages standpoint to actually make your location more profitable or, increase the, NOI. We're constantly looking at it from the lens of the real estate investor and the real estate syndicator, as you mentioned, and really not as much as like the insurance person, right? Because you mentioned that everybody can go get you a property and casualty, general liability policy for your apartments, right? But, that's just like boilerplate, type of stuff. We're looking at every single location and then your portfolio, adjusting as we go and constantly having those conversations to, basically constantly trying to increase the investment, of each one of these portfolios.
Yeah, I like that a lot because like looking at it from like a larger overall perspective, you can kind of see, if you have excess coverage and managing gaps and things like that, and things that you may have overlooked. And even I know a lot of syndicators, they get the insurance quotes when they're looking at making offers on deals, so they kind of know their budget when they're going in, just to kind of get more comfortable with their numbers because they're going to be pitching it to their investors, and just kind of let them know if that affects the NOI and like the overall returns on the property as well. Can you kind of talk about, is there any things that some people that don't have a service like yours that kind of overlook that you help them with, as far as like something that they miss that a lot of that it may not be obvious sometimes, but something that you guys catch that you're able to help them with?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing comes down to lender requirements. I mean, that's always seems to be the biggest item right now that I think a lot of, syndicators and, just people in the space and even brokers within insurance are forgetting about, right? You have this, let's call it 90-day, 120-day battle, if you will, that's going to go on. And you're trying to quote up front before you get these requirements. And at the end of the day, that's what's going to dictate, whether you're going to be able to close this insurance, how much and what carrier, right? You're finally going to know that it's, Arbor's requirements or, or Bancorp or whoever it's going to be. And, knowing those up front when someone's looking at an LOI or just getting it on a contract is huge, right? I see so many syndicators or brokers, just using the OM price or the T12 price, or they're going to a broker who's just quoting it without all of those eventual requirements. And you're in for a surprise because you're going to hit that 30-day wall right before closing. And all of a sudden it's going to be turning your certificates now, right? And what happens to a lot of people who are inexperienced or not using the person who's doing this all the time, they're seeing, 10, 20, 30% increases at that time. Not because the broker technically did anything wrong or the syndicator didn't provide the right information. It's just they simply weren't ready for these requirements to happen, or they didn't check to see if there was flood on the location. And now you got to add a $10,000 flood. So those are the biggest things that I see, and then really the second thing, if you wanted one, would be, a syndicator looking at the OM and the T12, right? I have that's the biggest conversation I have is, they'll send me an OM and a T12 to get started. Hey, Matt, go get me quotes, right? And, all of a sudden the T12 and that says 50K, right? And we quote it out and it might be 63 I come back with, right? And so, of course, you can guess the conversation is always, oh, Matt, that's too high. The T12 and the OM say 50K. What are you doing? You got to get a better carrier. But what you don't know within that OM or that T12 is, one, how honest is it, right? Two, is that part of a big schedule? Does it have the lender requirements they need? Is it just property only? Is it, does it have an umbrella? All these different things that you're going to go on. So I think those kind of combine that. If you have a trusted source, like if anyone comes to me, the thing I always say is that in any particular state, anytime you give me a risk, I'm going to use the 90% rule, 90%, right? 90% of the time, I'm going to have the best price with the best carrier, right? But 100% of the time, I'm going to get this thing closed for you, right? You're not going to be held up because of insurance. And that's really kind of, I think, what is a lot of people miss, and also what they should be looking for is they want someone in the insurance who just has that 90% rule, right? But 100% of the time will get it done, and it's 30 days out, certificates are approved, and you're worrying about other things before closing.
So I just had another question regarding for more strategic advantages for property owners regarding requesting for their tenants to get insurance. Do you see any benefit to that? And then how do you see that come into practice?
Yeah. So, my number one recommendation is have all of your tenants be required to have renters insurance. Now, if they do that on their own, that's step one. If you want to do more of a controlled or get a little bit dive deeper, there's programs out there that you can, as the owner, put in place where you charge an additional $6 or $8 a month to the rent to the tenants, which gives anywhere from $50,000, $100,000 or more in coverage for tenant related claims. And so what that means is if the tenant clogs the toilet and it causes water damage, or they start the fire, or anything that the tenant could do, you could turn it in through this program, right? Which is basically gives renters insurance, if you will, to all of the tenants. They still need something for their own personal property, but and what it allows me to do as your broker, if you do a program like that, is I can increase deductibles on your main policy because you're less likely to turn in anything but a big claim. So you can save money on your premium there. You're pushing that money through on that program through to the rent anyways. So it's not like it's an additional cost. And we do have some owners, which is a total, it is a best practice or a practice where they use a program like that to even add in a little bit extra money into the program, which helps increase rents and everything that you're trying to accomplish at a complex anyway. So there's a lot of things we can do, but the number one thing is, yes, have your tenants have renters insurance. Try to push as much liability off yourself, and especially with their creating, those claims as possible.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, I always have the section towards the end of our podcast and get a little bit know a little bit more about you and our guests. Can you kind of take us through a typical workday for you, and do you have any special morning routines?
Yeah, it would have been an interesting question about before March or after March, right? So our morning routine now is very interesting. I like to get up very early. So I like to get up 4 or 5 in the morning, and I try to get all of what I'd say my tasks out of the way, or the things that you have to actually kind of like concentrate on. And so that way I'm by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, right after I'm a big Peloton rider. So I try to get a ride in between there. But so that way I can be nimble all day, because I think the biggest thing that I see for whether you're an owner of a business or just an employee is that if you have those like mundane tasks or those things that make you where you have to shut everything else out and kind of concentrate on them, then email gets a little bit more stressful when you see your inbox coming in. Phone calls coming in are a little bit more stressful, things that you have to do. But if you can clear those out, and then you can just be, kind of a player all day, just, coming at what comes in and doing things. I've had a lot more success since doing that. So I've started that a few years back, and it's been ridiculously helpful. So I guess to sum it up is get all the tough stuff out of the way. I've heard there's the eat the frog or something like that, where they talk
Mm-hmm.
about,
Yeah.
knock out those tough tasks or the things you just really don't want to do early, while you have the most energy or the most coffee in you.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then you can be nimble for the rest of the day. And really, that's helped me also have a little bit better work-life balance as well, from a pretty serial entrepreneur who, work was also my hobby for a long time in life. That's also helped me, be able to shut it off at night a little bit easier than I used to in the past.
Yeah, I definitely like that. I definitely agree with that. Is getting all that hard stuff out of the way, because afterwards you can then focus on those little other wins later on in the day to kind of sustain you all that energy throughout the day. And then of course, yeah, then at night you have family time, so you want to be kind of stuck like, oh, I got to do this project, and I should have did it a long time ago, but now I got to get it done. But yeah, so that's
Yeah.
definitely some good tips there. I know what you have a team or maybe just yourself. Do you have any tools or resources that you use, either, just old school or just digital, that helps you more be more productive during the day?
Yeah, so we have our own system that we built called Halo that will be coming out here in first quarter for actually the public to see. But we have our own software and systems that help me organize all of our properties. But the one I'll bring up, and my partners will laugh at me because they're big like Gmail online people, but I'm an Outlook enthusiast. And for me, Outlook and folders and being able to work your inbox not as email, but as a to-do list, for me, is the biggest tool that I have. Most people allow email to overwhelm them, and they don't understand that, email is a huge tool. And whether you use Outlook or Gmail or whatever, I love Outlook because I love the folders and how you can do it. But you should, every email come in, you should either be putting it into a folder that you can do later so you don't stress on it. You should be delegating it to someone else and you can delete it and move on. Or if it's just a reference, it should just go into a folder that if you ever need to see it again, you can. But at the end of my day, my email box is clear, within reason, right? And I've found that since I flipped it to using email as a tool compared to email as, well, I don't know, if you ask my fiance, it's like a collect all. It's like, you see that little notification that says like 3,050. You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Um,
right.
so yeah, I think if you can use it as a tool and as a to-do list and as a way that you organize and delegate, I think that's really important. And I
That's
think
a
it's something
real
that
good point.
probably is not the number one thing that most people bring up, but I'm obsessed with it. I wish I could go to universities around the country and teach like an Outlook 101 email etiquette course.
Yeah, because I mean, you could think about it, you can get completely overwhelmed. I use Gmail, but then I have my little folders and stuff that I tuck away. So I'm taking
Yep.
your same strategy. Because if I wake up and I see like 3,000 emails, I'm just gonna want to like not touch them, or I'll just like select all and just delete them all. Like it's just like it would just be just too much to handle, and especially when you come in the morning, it's like another batch, and then you like have to deal with that and stuff. And it's best to just make a decision right then and there, either delegate it out, tuck it for later, or do something with it. So I, totally agree with that. And I try to like shy away from not doing too much email, but you can't really operate without in today's world. So you just got to find the best way to kind of manage it that works best for you. So that's some really really good tips there. I like that a lot. What you
Yeah,
say?
and
What?
then,
Yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry. The other, the big tool too that I see more than anything is like give yourself time, is what I always say, right?
Hmm.
Is most people when they get a communication, they go immediately try to fix it and then try to fix it and then communicate. It's amazing how if you communicate up front, right? It's just like you call Verizon to get your cell phone. All you want them to tell you on that call is, we know what we're doing and we're going to fix it. And then you don't mind if it's 5 hours later that they get back to you and it's fixed. You're mentally onto something else. So
Hmm.
just that's another thing that just was top of the mind that I love to do, is that you very rarely will message me, text me, email me where I don't respond. Most of my responses, 9 out of 10 times, are just, I saw it, let me look into it, and I'll get back to you, because I want people to go on with their day. And I also want to give myself the most time in the world to go fix it or do whatever I need to do. And I don't know if that's a tool or a tip or even what you were looking for, but I know that I think that's super important wherever that category falls into.
That's a really big tip. And I think about like now I like kind of subconsciously do it. Like I got a text from a client and I just wrote to him like I will look into it as soon as I get into the office. I wrote a note to myself and then now he knows I'm going to handle it. And then I'm able to kind of, work it out and then give me enough time to handle it. That's a really good tip there. Especially like I said, you mentioned like that Verizon example as well. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And as far as kind of like with all your success and like I said, with everything that's going on and a lot of stuff that people are thinking about, what can you say that you're most grateful for?
To be honest with you, probably always, but right now, my fiance and my family. I mean, and to kind of go into that, I think everyone kind of gives maybe that answer, but being in the year that we've had, I think when I give that answer, I mean like I'm getting married in a couple days here. It was not,
Nice.
It's not going to be the wedding that we had dreamed of or planned of. It's going to be mostly Zoom. But I'm still thankful because I'm still able to afford to get that done. Right. And I still got a girl that wants to still do it. And, so that's a win. We just celebrated the holidays and I actually got to be in the same room as my family. I think that's, something to be grateful for where, you're usually talking about what presents did you get and did you get everybody? And I'm just looking at it like, like we got to get together because everyone else I was talking to had to do Zoom Christmas or, just call each other. So for me, it's overall my thing that I'm most grateful for is my family and, my fiance, but still moving forward because I know there's a lot of people who aren't, or can't.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I guess my industry, of course, is helping with a lot of that. I'm able to still provide and we're able to still, function and go. So just overall, I think I would have a different answer for you any other year, but this year I'm just most grateful that we're keep on keeping on, and that what we have is still good. So
Exactly.
yeah, I'm just happy for that, to be honest.
Yeah, all this stuff kind of just came out, and then now everyone has to adjust,
Yeah.
and we actually started thinking about like, yeah, we actually had it really good, and then you taking things for granted and stuff like that. So I'm glad we're able to
Yeah.
kind of just sit back and reflect and just think about like actually, we got family and the things we can do, regardless if it's limited or not, is still better than the ultimate, which is nothing. So so that's definitely something we should appreciate. So appreciate you sharing that. And how do we get in contact with the website, phone number that you can leave us, or we can get in touch?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you have the website, which is obrisk.com, which is O like Oscar, BIE, and then risk.com. My cell phone, 312-877-2692. And then my email, matthew@obrisk.com. Really text me or email me is the easiest. You can, drop me a note on there, or you can find me on social media and shoot me a Facebook message or a LinkedIn message as well. It's everything's under Matthew Sutika. You can find me, but flexible. Drop an OM into a text, drop an OM into an email, whatever you need from us, we're here for.
Awesome. Matthew, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know it's getting towards the end of the year and people are usually huddled up with the family and stuff. So I appreciate you taking some time to educate us on the insurance process and, definitely gave us some timely tips. Appreciate you. Have a good year. You and to Mrs. Sutika as well. And look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Hey, thank you. And I think you're the first one that got to say Mrs. Sutika to me. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
It's a little different, but definitely cool.
Yeah, you can show this interview too, right? So you got proof now. So.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah. So I'll have to show her when she gets home that you were the first one to wish Mrs. Sutika a happy New Year.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much again, and all right, take care, my friend.
All right, see you, Dwaine. Bye.
Right, bye-bye. Hey there, this is Dwaine Clarke, your host of the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing Show. I want to thank you again for tuning in and hope you're enjoying this valuable content. While I got you for a quick minute, I wanted to send you an invitation to join our growing investor community. It's called the Passive Investors Club. It's a group of like-minded individuals like you who are seeking financial freedom and to build true wealth through passive investing in commercial real estate. We take a totally different approach to investing that is opposite, that is pushed by the financial advisors and what we see in the mainstream media. We like to invest in real assets that we can touch and understand and that are not subject to the wild swings of the financial markets. We don't want to be part of the herd who pursues the traditional route, leaving our financial future to Wall Street. So if you're interested in joining our group and to sharing resources and opportunities, then go to passiveinvestorsclub.com/join. Joining the club is completely free and there's no obligation. And all our members receive our free Passive Investors course along with tons of resources and content. So again, passiveinvestorsclub.com/join.